The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch, and I'm here with my boy, Jeff. How is it going tonight, Jeffrey?
Oh, not too bad. I had a pretty decent Monday, to start the week off. Over the weekend, I helped coach my last basketball tournament for the year. So I just got 2 of my weeknights back and one day on the weekend. So this week's going to be a little bit weird. I'm not going to know what to do tomorrow and Thursday after work. But how about you, Mitch? How are you?
It was great because you want to know why?
Because you got to see me this weekend.
Because I got to see you this weekend. A little reunion time. Went back to Ames, took a mini trip with my wife to go back to old stomping grounds. Got to work out an old gym. Got to see Jeffrey and work out. It was a good weekend. Good weekend hanging out with old friends and got to watch. I mean, you're sporting the Iowa Hawkeye hat right there. And man, did Iowa Hawkeyes have a weekend in basketball with the men coming back from how many were they down?
I think it was close to 20. With a minute 20 to go, they're down by like 8.
Yeah. And so they came back, pushed to overtime, and then won it in overtime against Michigan State. Great game. Caitlin Clark hits a fadeaway off-balance 3 to beat number 2 Indiana. And then Rick Heller, Iowa baseball, takes down number 1 LSU. Great weekend for Iowa Hawkeye sports. I mean, this is an Iowa Hawkeye podcast, but we're from Iowa, and we're going to be talking some Iowa because
it's great to be a Hawkeye this weekend.
It's great to be a Hawkeye. But yeah, so Rick Heller, I worked with him a lot when he coached at Upper Iowa and close by my hometown. And so he's a great coach. Good to see him turning that program around. Watch out for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're making some noise in the NCAA baseball tournament this year. Calling it. Yeah, we're part of the On Tap Sports Network. So make sure that you are going to ontapsportsnetwork.com for all of your Chicago sports needs. They're the leading media outlet that brings you a wide range of content from podcasts to articles. You name it, they cover all the sports teams. So go, if you're Bears, they have a Bears podcast, great Bears articles, as well as the Cubs and White Sox. Kicking off with a lot of podcasts with the Cubs and White Sox. Our buddies over at Cubs on Tap got you covered with post-game recaps, and we'll do the weekly recap of the whole week. But yeah, go to On Tap Sports Network. They've just been popping off with some great articles about the spring training games that have been coming up. They had a great article just the other day on Nick Madrigal. They had a great article on the pitching rotation, the staff. So yeah, go check out On Tap Sports Network. The writers over there are awesome. And make sure you are subscribed to the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel. Our videos, our podcasts are live on there, as well as other video content. So make sure you go and subscribe to the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel. So yeah, baseball's back. And we got to actually watch live games. That was good to see you there, Jeffrey. Did you get to take in some games this weekend?
Yeah, actually, I recorded both games. So I watched Saturday's game Sunday morning while I was eating breakfast. Then I watched Sunday's game live, and then I caught the last 4 innings of the Guardians game today. I watched the first 4 after that. So I kind of saw the carnage in the 5th. And then I watched us have a lead in the first 4 innings. So it wasn't bad. But it is good to hear the sound of the bats, balls hitting gloves, all that stuff.
Yeah. And let's give a little breakdown. Like, we're not going to go game by game and do a recap of every game, but let's do a little recap of some of the highlights, some of the things that have been happening with players that we've been kind of talking about all winter long and how they've been doing. So let's just start off. Javier Assad pitched yesterday, Sunday's game, had 2 strikeouts and a pair of perfect innings on Sunday.
Matt Mervis drew 2 more walks as he continues to display good plate approach.
Yeah, Christopher Morel had a double in his first spring training at bat. Good to see him picking up right where he left off last year. Excited to see some flavor out of Morel this season.
And then Nico Horner had a pair of hits as he picked up right where he left off in 2022.
Caleb Kinnean, he pitched today. He threw 29 pitches, 20 of those being strikes, retired all 6 batters he faced. Lights out. I'm coming back from an injury, really struggled with walks last year, so good to see him have a good first outing. He might shake up the pitching rotation, and I love it, and I'm all for it. We've been talking about pitching rotation. We've been talking about Wisniewski. We've been talking about Assad getting most of the time in the pitching rotation, but Caleb Kinnean after today looked filthy with that curveball, fastball working, cutter sitting at 92. He was doing all things right with Caleb Kinnean today.
Well, if things keep going the way they're going, the coaching staff's going to have some hard decisions about who's going to Chicago, who's not going to Chicago.
Yep.
So it's good to see that competition early, right off the bat.
Jeremiah Estrada looked good. His fastball sitting at 95. Looked really, really good, along with Ryan Jensen and Cam Sanders. Both of them touched 99 miles per hour on their fastball, as well as Boxberger and Fulmer. New faces, both pitched scoreless innings in their debut. But the bright spot and something that might ruffle some Cubs Twitter feathers is Nick Madrigal, looking smooth over at third base. I think I tweeted out something yesterday that I'm not hearing all the Nick Madrigal haters talk after yesterday's game of him. I mean, he had two chances at third, picked them both cleanly, made him look really good. Had a hit RBI. His bat plays. We've said it over and over that we would like to see Nick Madrigal in the lineup, because I think that he has a valuable asset to the team when we have some guys now with some pop. Now he's a contact bat, but he still plays. Moving him over to third in certain situations, certain pitchers on the mound, we're going to need that bat. And I mean, he looks smooth. And for me, like, everybody says that he doesn't have the arm. Do people have this has to be coming from people that have never played the game of baseball and never played third base. Third base can be the shortest throw, even shorter than second base at times. If you have to come up and charge your ball and you're picking it right behind third or right behind the pitcher's mound, and you're making a play. Like Chris Bryant's game-ending play for the World Series in 2016 was an easy. He was right behind the pitcher's mound. Nice toss over to third or over to first. You don't need to have a rocket.
Yeah, which he almost yard sailed it anyway.
You don't need to be Nolan Arenado. I mean, he has a cannon, but Nick Madrigal can play over there. He has the speed, he has the footwork. I think he can play over there. And
I mean, I just think you got to be smooth over there. You don't have to be the flashiest with the glove. You just got to be efficient. Pick it cleanly and get it out of your glove and get it on the way.
Yeah, and so I liked seeing Madrigal, and that's where I'm going to be kind of watching. Can he make the adjustments to do that at second base, where he's played most of his career? Is you have your time, like you're taking your nice time, just making sure you don't Chuck Knobloch it into the stands. And here at third, it's you need to pick it cleanly, get it out of your glove fast. You don't need to throw it hard. You just need to get it out fast and get it over there, and get an accurate throw. And especially this year, if Mervis is over there or whoever is over there at first base, make sure to give him a chance to be able to pick it. So, yeah, I like what we saw out of Madrigal. Last episode, Jake talked about how he thinks that Madrigal is going to be starting in Iowa, and we kind of stayed silent. What are your actual thoughts on? Do you think that'd be beneficial, or do you want to see Madrigal make the opening roster and get some playing time?
I'd like to see him make the opening day roster and get some playing time. Like I think I made the comment that like third base is going to be like a revolving door for the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season until they figure out what lineup works the best. But I could like situational baseball that you were talking about earlier. I totally see somebody starting at third base, but they're not going to be in there the whole game. Like there's going to be a lot of plug and play, things like that. Things how we have the DH now. I mean, you're basically we have DH. The pitcher's not going to hit. You don't have to work with that double switch thing. You can just take somebody out and put somebody else over there. You know what I mean?
And Nick Madrigal is one that you could put into DH. You're getting contact, especially if
Right.
you need contact in the order that day. If you have your horses out there, like if you have the regulars out there with some pop, then you might need to have a contact bat in that order. And Madrigal is that. So, yeah. And this spring has started off pretty. You talk about that revolving door. We've talked about Wisdom. We've talked about Morale. We've talked about McKinstry. We talked about Madrigal getting all the time. And you know who we totally forgot to mention or talk about? He still has a contract. He still has a contract with the Cubs.
I think you're talking about David Bote.
Yep, the Boat Show. The
That's
Boat
right.
Show is off to a hot spring. Hitting the first dinger of spring, the first dinger for the Chicago Cubs this spring. And he also had a double today in the 6th inning, or yesterday he had a double in the 6th inning when he came in. And where did he play?
Third base.
Third base. So is it going to be the David Bote revenge season after last year and the injuries before? Because I remember 2020 when he got significant playing time. He was like the guy that was the most clutch at bat in the lineup. And that was the last time he was consistently in the lineup.
It may be he might have a chip on his shoulder because wasn't he taking off the 40-man?
Yep, he was.
So there might be a little bit of a chip there, some extra motivation, to prove that he still has some value and can bring some stuff to the team. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people that started off hot, and whoever goes to Chicago is going to be the guy that continues to stay hot all spring training.
Yeah. And but you look at it, and we've talked about this with our pitching staff is depth. Like having depth in our infield where we can send down possibly 2 guys that are major league players down to Iowa, which is great for us because then we can go over to Des Moines, catch Des Moines, where the S's are silent, but the city is buzzing to go watch some of these guys play with Iowa Cubs. Because I mean, Bote could he's not in the 40-man. He could more than likely start down in Iowa. But if there's an injury or if there's something happen, at least we know that we have guys down there that have major league at bats under their belt that can come up and spell for a time.
Oh yeah.
And so Bote, I trust. Give him some more at bats. I think last year he really struggled because he's coming back from injury in a pretty bad legging injury. Like, I don't know. I like what I see so far out of Bote this spring.
Yeah, he may actually be healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just pushing through an injury just to stay on the field or.
Well, you have to think like last year, he had to be feeling the pressure to like get back from that injury as fast as possible. He saw his window of earning a spot on this team in the future kind of fading away with the rise of
Morale,
Patrick Wisdom hitting some bombs. Nico Horner, you saw them go and get Madrigal. Like, so you saw that window maybe like slowly closing. Like, all right, I need to get back. And he made to push it a little bit back from injury a little bit fast and wasn't completely healed. I don't know. But it is good to see him back. He hit the first home run of spring and it was a good shot. So I like David Bote. I think he's a good guy. Any interview I've heard with him talking, he seems like he's a great team guy, just a great guy overall. But speaking of injuries, Cubs Twitter has made a lot about the injury of Seiya Suzuki and Justin Steele kind of skipping a start. Where are you at with injuries so far this spring.
Well, I think you just need to relax a little bit, folks. It's early. So as far as Seiya Suzuki, I know that he had every intention of playing in the World Baseball Classic and representing his home country of Japan. He's no longer going to do that. So oblique injuries are really weird. It's kind of like a hamstring. If you don't really take care of it right the first time, it's going to come back. So I think what he's going to do is take like the next 5 weeks, and get healed up and be ready for the season or shortly after the start of the season. As far as Justin Steele having a little arm fatigue, it's a little arm fatigue. Let's calm down. I mean, I don't know how many beers the guy's opened up since he's been in spring training, but just calm down. It's early.
Yeah, I mean, with both of them, I know the oblique injury with Seiya might be a little bit more concerning, but it's early and it's spring training. They are going to be super patient in dealing with any injury this spring. They're not going to push Justin Steele out there because they have time. They have plenty of time right now to build up. Even if he does start slow and he doesn't start the season with the Cubs, like it's a long 162, guys.
It is
a long 162, and we need him to get as many starts. And if playing it slow here in spring training is a smart thing to do to be able to longevely get him to pitch as many innings this season, then that's what we do. And even with the oblique injury, like with Seiya, like time, man, like
yeah. So
he's got a lot more weight. He's jacked now. He's big Seiya.
Yeah, they say he put like 20 pounds on, which that might be a little underestimated. I don't know. He just looks beefy,
like a tank.
Yeah, and like oblique injuries for a baseball player would be like a hamstring injury for an NFL wide receiver. I mean, if you push it, it's just going to get re-injured. So take time.
And like, yeah, it stinks because I really wanted to see him in the World Baseball Classic with Team Japan, but I think doing the smart thing, playing slow, he will bounce back. We need him for the 162.
Mm-hmm.
The other big thing has been the rule changes, right?
Oh my God, people are losing their minds.
Yeah, with the pitch clock, people were not happy. And I mean, I think it was because the first game, it was the Red Sox and who was the other team? Padres? I think the Padres.
It may have been.
And I think it was because the pitch clock was right behind home plate, really big, and it counted down, and so everybody could see it. Unlike all the other teams, don't have that displayed, and they have it up in the score bug, which a lot of people don't know what that is. The score bug is like where the score thing
be the graphic.
The graphic
shows you the score, the runners on base, the outs, the balls,
other known as the score bug. Others been putting it on there. When it gets down to like 6 seconds, they pop it up there. I thought that Juice from Cubs on Tap had a great idea of having it be the Mario Kart countdown. But I think that's where it got some people because they saw every single pitch of that counting down. But there was a lot of overreaction to the pitch clock. But what is your first initial takes of the pitch clock and the effects of it on spring training games so far?
Well, the games, they cruise right along. I mean, they're faster. Like the Guardians game started at like 2:05. I get off work 55 minutes later. I drive straight home. It takes me like 12 minutes. I turn the TV on, and we're in the bottom of the fifth already. Normally, a game like that, I'm catching the end of the second, start of the third. So games are getting quicker. Some people don't like that. Some people probably will. It is what it is, folks. The game's going to change. They're going to try to speed it up and get it 3.5 hours. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I like that the games are moving faster. And it's not it's part of like the old school baseball in me of like thinking about I think somebody tweeted out something stupid of like, guys, it's just getting rid of all the non-baseball that's in baseball. So now you're just getting baseball. And I like thinking about that take. It's so dumb because then it shows how much they don't know about baseball.
Right.
That baseball is like chess, and there's so much that goes into the process of in between pitches, of the catcher and the pitcher analyzing how that guy swing at the last pitch. What pitch should I throw next? Where do I position my infielders? There's so many things that go into in between pitches.
Yeah.
Now it's going to cause those things to happen a little bit faster.
A lot faster.
You're going to have to be on it and pick up. So it's going to make players think a lot more. It's going to speed up the game. The thing that I would question is that in critical situations, like 8th, 9th innings, I don't want to see something really stupid that like happened today with Fulmer, where they let him pitch the ball. They didn't call it fast enough, but he was already in his motion to pitch and they call it. It's like at that point, just let it go. And so like, I'm going to hate if something like that comes up when it's a key moment in the game, 8th, 9th inning. Hopefully umpires start getting better at discretion, but it's like anything. It's like parents with rules, or I'm a teacher with rules. When we come up with a new rule, especially like my own kids, when I come up with a new rule for my kids, I am extremely like rule Nazi for the first couple days of the new rule. Like any infraction, we're going to be calling it. I'm going to make sure that my kids fall in line, and then I can start being a little bit lenient later. It's kind of like with the sticky substances. They're on it for the first like half the season. By then, second, they got a little bit lenient, and from what I hear, people started using it again. I don't know, but like, but they're going to, in this spring, be super obnoxious with it. We saw the Red Sox game end, or was it Red Sox or Braves game end in a tied game on a strike violation.
Right.
We saw today that in the Cubs versus Diamondbacks game, Brendan Davis was up to bat. He didn't get in the batter's box fast enough, and the pitcher didn't get to the mound fast enough. And so the at bat started with a 1-1 count. And so we're going to see some of those things happen in spring, but overall, like, it's going to improve the game. And I'm really excited to see how people start strategizing and using it. Like thinking about like this, like base runners on base are going to start using the clock to time pitchers to be able to, like, when it gets down to like 6-5-4, they know they're going to have to go home. They're going to get a bigger lead and get some more stolen bases. Like stolen bases are going to go up.
If you think about it, all right, so yeah, it's new and it's different. People don't like it, but I challenge you to think back of the days where you could bring in a relief pitcher to face one batter, and then you could pull him again. So if you're at home watching this game, how bored are you watching commercials? Because every time they have a pitching change, they go to a commercial break. Like, that was the one thing I really didn't care to see happen towards the end of the game, and it kind of made the game better for me. So I think people are going to learn to love the pitch clock and the pace of the way the game is going to change.
And that's what I think it is. The pace of the baseball game is better. Just watching it, the pace is like, I'm engaged in every pitch. Like, it's not like, you know what the average time in between balls in play last year was? The average time?
Like something like 4 minutes?
4 minutes. 4 minutes in between balls in play. That's a long time. And now it's like, it's moving along. Like, it just clips and you're engaged. So as a viewer, like, I like it a lot better. And I'm a baseball nut. Like, I can't imagine somebody that's just tuning in and they're kind of fringe baseball fans. Like,
right,
it's going to start engaging those type of people a little bit more. And that's what it comes down to. Pace is better. I don't care how long games are. I care about the pace being a good pace that's going to be engaging, and it's going to cause things to move better. Like with the Cubs marquee, they play a lot of like classic games, on during the day sometimes. And if you watch those games, the pace is a lot faster. They're moving along. They're like, there isn't all this like rain delay of a pitcher on the mound, and there's not the batter slowing the game down or stepping out. Like I was listening to Talking Baseball today from John Boy, and Trevor Puth talked about how that was a big thing in the early 2000s of players stepping out and controlling the at bat, and him controlling that bat, and that batters would slow the game down too by stepping out and not letting pitchers get in a routine. I remember, so I was a head coach of a varsity baseball team for a couple of years, and we were playing in the first round of the tournament against a team that was pretty good, and we were expected to lose. And their best pitcher, he beat us, I think, 3 or 4 times in the regular season. He was a good pitcher, really good, but he worked super fast. And so my whole strategy for that game, I told our whole players, every pitch, in between every pitch, you step out and you look down to me, and I'm going to give you a series of signs. Every pitch. And my signs were like this. Super slow-mo. And after a while, I would just look at the pitcher and have him watch me do it. And I would just do them super slow and take about like 30 seconds in between every single pitch. The game lasted forever, but it got in his head and we won. I think we won like 4-2. Oh, nice. And his walks, he walked like 4 or 5 guys more than he averaged walks. Like we just got in his head and it worked. And so like from the batter's perspective, slowing the game down works also. And it is a pitch clock, right? It's meant for the pitcher, but it's also meant for the batter. As well.
Well, yeah, a lot of the pitchers that they interviewed on the marquee during the Cubs game, they asked about the pitch clock. That was the hot topic of the weekend. And the majority of them said, well, you're just not going to go be able to take that walkabout. If you don't know what that is, so after they pitch, the catcher has the ball. The pitcher walks down off the mound, kind of goes part way to the plate, catches the ball, turns around, walks around behind the back of the mound, up to the top of the mound, looks at some signs for the catcher. So that's what you're not going to see anymore is, I don't know if it's stalling, if it's strategizing, trying to get in somebody's head, but I think predominantly what you're going to see is the pitcher's going to stay closer to the mound.
Yep.
So it's just some of the lollygagging is no longer going to be in baseball.
I mean, I'm just thinking, Major League 2, who was the catcher? What was the catcher's name?
Rube Baker.
Rube Baker. Yeah. If we have any Rube Baker catchers there that need the pitcher to walk really close to him to be able to get the throw, like if they have to stay at the mound and we have a Rube back there, it's going to make that catcher have to make a good throw. That'll be fun. But that wasn't the only rule change that we got to see this week. This weekend was the shift eliminated like that. I loved it right away. Like I noticed. I can't remember who it was. I think it was in the Red Sox game. One of the batters hit one up the middle, and the second baseman dove and just missed it. But you're like, that would have been out last year. That would have been a for sure out. The way the way they shift them easy, that shortstop would have been right there. But now we're going to see more balls getting through up the middle, through the holes. You're going to see infielders have to make more diving plays, more athletic plays. Like I loved it. Like I loved watching, just like the base hits are back. Like people can get base hits now and they're not going to be robbed. I think even like Cody Bellinger in the compound interview at Cubs convention talked about that. Like all my life, a base hit, if I hit it up the middle, it's a base hit. And for the last 8 years, it was gone. And now those are back, and it's good. Like it's really good.
Yeah, we're going to learn which middle infielders actually have range real quick.
Yep. So yeah, it's going to make that more exciting. The defensive side to watch plays being made. And that's the thing. We're just going to be watching more plays happen, like defensive plays that are exciting. We're going to watch balls getting hit where infielders are going to have to dive to make those plays, where last year is like, I'm out in left field or right field making this play and it looks routine, but it should have been a base hit. In the 90s and 80s, it was a guaranteed base hit. And so I love it. I didn't really see the larger bases playing a role, but I don't think many teams are running and stealing bases a lot at this point. As we get closer to the season, we might see that being teams stealing more. But I know once regular season starts, it's going to be a huge thing. And I love it for the Cubs because we saw David Ross. He likes to steal. And with this team, we got some runners on it. I think Ron has said that on Cubs on Tap. I agree with him that we have some runners. Cody Bellinger is fast. Hap, he can pick him up, put him down. We have some guys that can steal some bases. Nick Madrigal in August stole some bases. It's going to be fun. Seiya, I don't know about big boy, thick boy Seiya, if he can pick him up and put him down. But Dansby can run. Nico can run. It's going to be fun watching the Cubs possibly steal some bases. So I think with the larger bases, that could play a factor. Do you think that's going to make a difference? Are we going to see the Kansas City Royals of 2015 come back where they won the World Series basically because they were fast outfield, fast stolen bases?
Possibly. It's possible. It's like you're saying, you add in that pitch clock and the runners are going to know, 5 seconds left on that baby. That ball's going to be going to the mound soon.
And they can only pick over twice. So even more so if they pick over once,
yeah,
and they pick over twice, like now they have to go home.
So is that the disengagement rule that they talk about where the pitcher has to disengage from the batter at the plate?
Yeah, from the rubber. Yeah.
So if he disengages, does that count?
That counts. If there's a runner on, if he steps off, that's one.
All right.
If he does it again and throws over, that's two. Like now the runner's off. Like he's gone. So, I mean, I like it. I like the new rules. It's going to change baseball a little bit, but I like the fact that it's going to cause more action in the game.
Right.
And it's going to have teams, coaches, managers are going to have to get creative and strategic. That's where it's like, I just keep on thinking like Joe Madden in these times would be crazy good because he's always one that thinks outside the box, and with new rules, he's going to think of how to like use those in his favor all the time. And like, I'm not saying Ross can't, but like Madden was just really good at that type of stuff. And so the teams that can be creative and think how they can use these rules in their favor and how they can maybe blur those lines and get away with some other things, like the teams that do that faster are going to be the teams that become more successful early on.
Oh yeah. I think we're going to see a lot more chess moves every game than what you're kind of typically used to seeing in the late, like in the later innings or whatever. But I think it's going to be more prevalent in the early innings to see managers try some stuff.
But like we said earlier, but those chess moves are going to have to be moved a little bit faster.
Sure.
So because of the pace of play, managers and players are going to have to be thinking, and they're going to have to it's none of this like in between innings, twirling the glove around, like taking a walk. It's like, no, you have to be engaged in the game the whole time, like locked in for your 2-hour game that is going to be done a little bit faster, which I mean, I like it. I like what I've seen so far. I'm not one of those that's on Twitter that have been freaking out over every little thing. But yeah, we'll see as the spring training goes on. I'm sure we won't stop talking about this topic because it's going to be here for a while until we get used to it. So, but I like it. I like it so far. Do you have an article for us to Can't fix stupid.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. Let's see. I'm gonna go with this one. So, brainless crooks busted for kidnapping next to NYPD training center. So these two morons in New York City, they picked the wrong spot for a kidnapping. A group of bumbling crooks were busted for allegedly forcing a victim into a car and holding him for ransom, just feet from an NYPD training center, police said Thursday. The would-be abductors allegedly lured the 19-year-old victim to New Ultrich Avenue and 72nd Street in Bensonhurst at 10 p.m. Wednesday after agreeing to buy his car on the Facebook marketplace. That's why you always take some big, large friend of yours with you for any deals made on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, Marketplace not. I don't.
Yeah. When he arrived, 6 brutes allegedly pushed him into a vehicle as one of them flashed a fake gun, according to cops. Then they blindfolded him and demanded 10 grand from his cousin over the phone for his safe return. But the quick-thinking cousin traced the victim's phone to the area as the kidnappers moved east, pinging it at a Floyd Bennett Field, an NYPD training facility that's often crawling with cops. Officers from the 62nd and 63rd precincts, along with the City Parks Department police, rushed the area, and the alleged kidnappers were arrested at 11:50 p.m., according to police. The 6 men were in custody Thursday afternoon with charges pending, according to the NYPD, and the victim reported a minor stomach injury.
The only thing that would have made that better is if they just pretended like they were part of the training and that they weren't actually kidnapping the person. Yeah, they're like, well, no,
no,
we're just part of the training.
Same team.
And I like that the victim. Ooh, I got a tummy ache. My tum hurts. Like,
there's an Instagram account that I follow. And some of the merch that he sells, there's a tummy ache survivor t-shirt. It's great.
I like it. Well, yeah, can't fix stupid. But that does it for our episode of the Dingers Podcast 107. I know this is a shorter episode, but we want to get in here, talk a little bit about the first 4 spring training games. And we have some fun things coming. If we can... We have a special guest possibly coming in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be fun. We'll just leave it at that. But if you like coffee, like I like coffee in the morning, you should head to Connect Roasters and use code DingerPod to join the Home Run Club and get yourself a subscription to coffee being sent to your door every single morning. And in doing so, every time the Cubs hit a dinger at home, you get $1 called a Dinger Dollar. We're the Dingers Podcast, Dinger Dollars. And every time Ian Happ hits a dinger, you get a Dinger Dollar to put towards coffee or other merchandise, as well as you get put into their email list, which you will get an email where you fill out a Google form. And from that, you'll be selected to win other amazing prizes from us, the Dingers Podcast, and them over there at Connect Roasters. So go get yourself some coffee from Connect Roasters. Great coffee. And yeah, follow us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs. Go follow the boys of Cubs on Tap at Cubbies on Tap, and go follow On Tap Sports Network. Yeah, is that all of it?
I think it is.
Awesome. Well, that does it for episode 107 of the Dingers Podcast. Thanks for listening, and go Cubbies, and enjoy the spring training games. Go Cubs.
Go Cubs. Hey, everybody have a Super Tuesday.
Yeah, go get them.